So I went to Nigeria the other day, and as expected, the food was elite. I've also been loving tzatziki recently, and so I wanted to combine it with a Nigerian dish, and I hope you enjoyed the video. I was in the sink, water in my face, just going
Come on, lemon, baby, let your guard down. I'm right outside your city, let your walls down. And I'm gonna let you know that I'm so patient. I've been sitting, I've been waiting for a while now.
Nigerian Gizdodo is this beautiful amalgamation of gizzard and plantain in a beautiful pepper tomato sauce, and it's packed full of flavor. Greek gyros, think pita bread, beautifully seasoned meat, tzatziki sauce, and some fresh vegetables on the side. There are two things I want you to take away from this video. Thing number one is making pita from scratch, because once you do it once, you want to do it every single day. And thing number two is making Gizdodo, specifically the sauce that we make. Honestly, I wanted to buy pita from the store. I wanted to buy it from the store because sometimes making bread can just be a bit long, but every Gyros recipe I looked at was like, no, you have to make your own pita bread, it's so much better. And to be honest, they're not wrong. Pita homemade, this stuff? Nah. Fresh off the pan, crispy, doughy on the don't get me started. We want to start off by activating our yeast into a bowl. Add sugar, yeast, milk and water and let that sit for a few minutes. If it bubbles on top, that's a good sign. It means our yeast is releasing carbon dioxide, which means that our yeast is active, which is what we want. And then in a separate bowl, add flour, salt, some dry herbs and garlic powder and olive oil. Mix the yeast mixture with the flour one and knead to develop gluten, and then shape into a ball and place into a bowl coated in some olive oil and allow to double in size. Whilst that's happening and whilst you're waiting for the dough to rise, you can get a head start on the Gizdodo, but for the sake of having the pita bit all in one place in this video, I'm just going to continue. So once the dough is doubled in size, stretch it out and cut it into even pieces. I went for 6. Then shape each piece into a ball, tucking it in on itself, and let that rest for about 15 minutes. And I sprinkled a bit of flour on top just because when I covered it with cling film, when it was time to take it off, I didn't want it to start sticking to the dough, so the flour kind of, there's a word for it. I don't know what the word is, but you know what I'm talking. What's the word? Anyway, after this 15 minutes have passed, flatten out your pita and put it into a pan, lightly coated with some olive oil. I'm looking for it to be a goldish brown to like a darkish brown on each side before I remove it from the pan. And now you have homemade pita. Your second weapon is going to be the Gizdodo, and you want to start off by washing your gizzard and then putting it into a pot to boil with some seasonings. And the list of seasonings should be here. I wonder if I was able to get it in, but they'll be there. And yeah, let that boil for about 30 to 45 minutes until nice and soft. And whilst that's boiling, let's prepare the sauce. Into a blender or food processor, going with some tomatoes, red onions, bell peppers and scotch bonnets. I don't know why I put 2 scotch bonnets in this blender, in this small container, and thought, this isn't gonna turn out spicy. This thing was cooking on the cooker and the fumes, right, just in my face. Oh my lord. That's way too spicy. It was not a pleasant experience. I was in the sink, water in my face, just going Moral of the story, don't use 2 scotch bonnets for this amount of sauce that we're making. You will die. Anyway, set your sauce aside and chop up some vegetables that we're going to be using. I chopped up some bell peppers and some onions, which we're going to be frying later on. Then chop up some plantain, fry the plantain, remove the plantain from the oil, and if your gizzard has finished boiling by then, you can take your gizzard and also fry that in the same oil for about 30 seconds to a minute. You don't want to do it for too long. You do it for too long and I feel like you're just going to end up tough and not as juicy as we want the gizzard to be. So only like pretty much just flash fry it for like 30 seconds to a minute. Take it out and you're done. And into a separate pan, take some of that oil that you used to fry the gizzard and the plantain and put it in the other pan, not too much, just a tiny bit. Then fry off the onions that we chopped up earlier and fry that until soft and nice and fragrant. And then once that's happened, you can pour in your sauce. This was where something was against me in the world, but yeah, you can pour in your sauce and hopefully you haven't made yours too spicy and you won't die as this is cooking. You want your sauce to go from something that looks like this to something that looks like this. And once it's at that stage, you can chuck in your gizzard, your plantain and your vegetables in that order specifically. Chuck in your gizzard, mix your plantain, mix your vegetables, mix. The reason is because, and when you're mixing the plantain, just in case your plantain is soft, you don't want it to go mushy, so gently mix it. Just like more so fold it than actually like a proper mix, you know what I mean? Stir all those ingredients in and let that basically sit off heat, or like turn off the heat. So let's say it's on this cooker here, right? Turn off this cooker, but just leave it on the cooker so it's warm and everything. And just let that sit for about 10 minutes and let those flavors really get to know each other and mingle really well. And you should be good to go. And now you have Gizdodo. Take your components and plate as desired. And now you have Gizdodo Gyros. I hope you enjoy if you did make it. That's hot. That is hot. Wow. The pita, it's chewy, the flavor's nice. You get that garlic and herb that we added coming through nicely as well. The Gizdodo, intense flavor. In my case, spicier than it should be, so spicy as well. And the tzatziki, refreshing. Combine that all together and the contrast between the tzatziki and that intense, flavorful, good flavorful, but spicy Gizdodo just coming together. Yes. If there was one thing I could change for next time, don't add 2 Scotch bonnets to me. Don't do it. You will regret it because I can't have this by itself. I have to like contrast it with something to balance it out a bit more. Because that is very spicy. That is very, very spicy.